Okay, I was just about to start making a video about this old Compaq Deskpro 286N, and my idea is to turn it into a Raspberry Pi box, complete with a 3.5 inch drive, 3.5 inch hard drives and what have you. I've just powered it up to show it working one last time, and I've got to say it smells really bad. In fact, I can see smoke coming out the back now. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it looks like it might have just gone bang. So I'm going to have a look now. Well, this is the innards of the 286, and I cannot see anything wrong here, so it looks like the problem's going to be the power supply. And again, this is the one bit of the machine I actually wanted to salvage. So let's have a look. Okay, so I'm in the power supply, and I've got to say at the moment I cannot see anything going wrong in here. But it does smell like a capacitor. But I think all the electrolytic capacitors are definitely in the power supply. Any meaningful ones anyway. So I guess all I can do now is power it back up and see what happens. Okay, here it goes. Sounds to me like the power supply is just tripping out at this point. One thing it's certainly not doing is powering the computer up, because that monitor over there should be... oh, there we go, smoke again. Where's the smoke coming from? Ah, the smoke's not coming from where I thought it would be. It's coming from this bridge board here. Well, I think I've found the issue. If you look at all the other capacitors, they're all bright yellow, but if you look at that one right there, it's rather deep red colour. So it looks like that capacitor, at the very least, has given up the ghost. Okay, so I've taken the 286 board out. I've also taken the floppy disk out. I've got the power supply sitting over here. Now, this power supply was the one bit I wanted to actually try and retrieve, so I'm going to put that back and I'm going to test it and see if that's still serviceable. But basically, this is now the case, which I now have all the space I need to start putting Raspberry Pi bits and bobs in. Half pre-installed the power supply. Now what I need to see is when I switch it on, does anything happen? Right, that's good news. It stopped clicking. I think whatever happened to the motherboard must have been putting a short circuit on and it was tripping out. Right, so I'll turn the power back off again. Right, so now I need to go and find out what these pinouts are. I'm wanting to find a plus 5 volts to power the Pi, and I'm also wanting to find a 12 volts, because the idea is that I'm going to be putting a hard drive in here with a SATA to USB converter on it, which will then go into the Pi here. So essentially there'll be a Raspberry Pi running the hard disk. There will be a HDMI to VGA adapter, which is that there. There will be, hang on, oh. There will be a backplate with USB sockets on it, which will go into the Pi, and that's how I'll be getting most of the communication in and out of the Raspberry Pi. It's also my intention to then run a USB to the front behind the plastic, but obviously in front of the metal, but behind the plastic, and that will be the keyboard wireless adapter, and then possibly behind the grilling, the fascia of the floppy disk drive, to put a USB socket in there as well, so I can plug USB drives into there. So that is the plan. Right, let's see how far we get. So install some of the metalwork back into this, because that should sit in there like that, and obviously there should be a slot in a piece of metal here for this to fit into, but I've taken this bit of metal out, so I need to put that back. Put back more metalwork than I perhaps would have wanted to, because this section here and this cage here is all one piece, but at least now that the expansion plates are locked into place. So you can start to see it taking shape now. I've got two USB connectors there. If I connect them now to the Raspberry Pi, so obviously the Raspberry Pi won't be in a case, but there we have some USB ports, so you can imagine that plugged in there, and plugged in there, and starting to take shape. Right, the next stage is to put in the VGA adapter, HDMI to VGA adapter. This is going to be used because I want to run this old school CRT monitor with it. So I'm now going to try and alter this so that it goes into a back plate, which I have already liberated from an old graphics card. So I'm now going to try and put that into there. That was quite painless. I now have my VGA port for the back of my computer. This HDMI adapter also has an audio out, so I'm going to find a way of patching that into some space on the back of this as well, but that's a project for another day. Three ports on the back. I've got my VGA, two USBs. This gives you an idea of what it looked like inside. Obviously I'm going to take the Pi out of this case and mount it. I'm going to drill some holes and properly mount it on in here, so that gives you an idea of where that would go. Like I say, an additional USB to the front, so that the wireless keyboard can work, pick up the signal. Another USB going to the front here so that I can plug in a USB stick as required. Now one of the problems I'm going to have is that the Wi-Fi in here isn't going to work, simply because it's going to be inside a cage. So therefore I'm probably going to be using a plug-in Wi-Fi USB stick in one of the USB ports in the back. I had to put this back in, as it turns out, because it actually forms the back part of this power supply case as well. You'll see that the power supply fan currently doesn't have a connector, so that's going to have to be plumbed in. So the next big job is to create a power supply bus for this. Like I say, I'm looking for 12 volts and a 5 volt line out of this power supply. There's the connector there. So the idea would be to have a little power block here, taking a 5 volt supply to the Pi, and then taking a 5 volt and a 12 volt supply to a hard drive, which is going to sit in here and is then going to be connected by a USB to SATA adapter. Now I've just realised an error in my logic here, and that I've actually run out of USB ports, so therefore I'm probably going to have to put a little USB hub in here as well. But no problem, I've got all the power I think I need, and I've got the space, so hopefully when this is all done, the old Compaq 286 will live again, complete with a CRT monitor. Okay, it's not contemporary, but it's a CRT monitor, and away we go. So project Compaq Deskpro 286N has begun. Script to everything. The reason why I initially decided to retire the 286 before the motherboard blew up this morning was that this hard drive had failed, and this hard drive is a 40 megabyte, not gigabyte, megabyte hard drive, made by Connor CF3000, and unfortunately it had failed. And what I discovered about the Compaq was that it would only take hard drives up to 120 megabytes, Seeing as I would be having to get really old stock to continue operation of this machine, and the reliability would be suspect because all these old hard drives are giving in now. I decided that what I would do is save the essence of the 286, but actually have the functionality using the Raspberry Pi with DOSBox. That's the idea. So there's the project.